So it's summertime and you have an abundance of zucchinis and you're kind of tired of making zucchini bread and you're tired of eating zoo noodles, which are those zucchini spirals. They're delicious, but I mean, how many can you eat? So, what do you do with all that zucchini? Well, you make my zucchini muthiya. This is a very easy dish. What muthia is basically you take any vegetable and you mix it with some oil, some flour, and spices, and then you steam it. And then you can eat those steamed, or you take one step further and cut it into pieces and make them a little crispy. They're so delicious. It's a great snack. Kids love it because it's tasty, and mom love it and dads love it because it's healthy for you. It's a good way to give a lot of vegetables um, in a snack. So I love mutia with a cup of steaming tea. It is so delicious. And a lot of times I just look forward to getting zucchini just to make this dish. So come along with me as we make my zucchini mutia. So to make our zucchini muthia today, I have 1 cup of suji or cream of wheat. I have half a cup of whole wheat flour, also called atta, if you're looking at to buy it in the Indian store. And then I have 2 tablespoons of chickpea flour. It's also called besan in the Indian store. And then for spices today, I have 2 teaspoons of salt, 1 teaspoon of red cayenne pepper, 2 teaspoons of cumin coriander powder, 1 teaspoon of turmeric, a 1/4 teaspoon of hing or asafoetida, and then 1 tablespoon of sugar. So I'm going to mix all this and then we're going to add our zucchini. So today I have 2 medium-sized zucchini that I'm going to shred and then add it to this. So let's go and see how we do it. So first, we're gonna start by just mixing all the flours with the spices. I'm gonna go ahead and add all this. And then just using a whisk, I'm going to mix everything nicely together. Now all my spices and all 3 flours have been incorporated nicely. I'm going to go ahead and add 1 tablespoon of just regular canola oil. Okay, I've added my oil, and now with the whisk, I'm just going to incorporate the oil. I have not added any liquids yet, so I've not added any water. I want to wait and add the water until after I add the zucchini, because the zucchini is gonna have moisture and we don't want to make the dough too wet. So I'm gonna incorporate this a little bit better and then keep it aside and go and shred my zucchini. Okay, my zucchini is all shredded. Today I just did it with the little handheld grater. Normally if I had a larger quantity, I would pull out my food processor and shred it there. But today I didn't really want to pull out the whole big thing, so I just used the small one, and it's fine. It was only 2 zucchinis. So I'm not going to squeeze any water or liquid out of the zucchini, because why waste the liquid from the vegetable when you're going to add like additional water or anything anyway. So whenever I make a recipe that requires addition liquid with the vegetable, I normally do not squeeze out the vegetable, because I'm just going to use the liquid from there and then add the little bit of water required. So I'm going to go ahead and add this in here, and then using my hands, see how the dough feels, and then add water accordingly. So I'll show you how to do that. So at this point, you do need to use your hands to make a dough. So first make a dough without adding any additional water, and then see how it feels. And then that way you'll know how much water to add. And here is what my dough feels like. And I'm glad I didn't add any water because there was enough moisture in the zucchini that I didn't need any water. So this looks really good. I'm gonna let this sit for at least half hour and then see how the dough feels. But right now I have added no additional water or liquid. It's just the flours, the spices, and my shredded zucchini. Now I made this with lots of different vegetables, so it depends on what you make it with. For example, like if I was making it with cabbage, I would add a little bit of water because cabbage doesn't have as much moisture as the zucchini does. And then I would add a lot more water when I make this with rice. And I'll link that video below because this is also delicious with just rice. But since rice has no moisture, I do need to add that water. But here today, it looks really good. I don't need to add any water. I'm gonna just incorporate everything a little bit better and then leave the dough for about half hour. I'm gonna cover this dough now with plastic wrap and set aside and then get our steamer going. So first, we're going to steam these. So we're gonna make like little logs and steam the logs. And then once they're steamed, you can eat at that point, no problem. But it tastes amazing if you take those logs and then cut it and then kind of stir fry them with a few other spices. So I'll show you those processes next. But right now I'm just gonna cover this and set it aside for about 30 minutes. So here is my steamer. And what I'm going to do is, I just took a little bit of oil in a paper napkin and I'm just going to kind of wipe the bottom of this so that my muthia doesn't stick. So I'm gonna go ahead and wipe it and then make the little logs out of the dough and then put it in here to steam them. So I have to make this in 2 batches because I want to make sure I have plenty of room between the logs because they will expand. So I don't want to put them too tightly together. So I've made 5 here and then I have enough dough to make another 5. So I'm gonna go ahead and take this and then as soon as my water comes to a boil, I'm gonna put the steamer on and then steam it for about 15 minutes. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and steam these for about 15 minutes. My timer just went off and as you can see, they doubled in size. So these are cooked perfectly. Now I'm gonna take these out, check and make sure there's enough water for the next batch and then steam the next batch. So I took them out and I started the next batch. And while the next batch is cooking, I'm just gonna go ahead and cut these into small slices. Now these are perfectly cooked. They are ready to eat as they are. They're delicious, just steamed. But I'm gonna take it today one step further and we're going to add a little bit of tempering to it. And tempering again just means you heat up some oil, add a few spices, and then mix it with anything that you're making. So here we're gonna add that oil, the flavored oil, and mix it with these slices. And make them a little bit crispy also on the bottom. But like I said, again, these are perfectly fine to eat as is. But that one extra step makes them really delicious. And also one other note, this is a great time to taste these for seasoning. So if you have a little bit less salt or you want it more spicier, it's a great time then to add it while you're tempering the oil because you can just add additional spices to it. So I'm gonna go ahead and taste it, see if I need to add any salt or anything else. So let's go ahead. Oh my God. They are perfect as is. So I'm gonna wait for the second batch and then I'll show you the next step. Okay, and our second batch is ready. So I'm gonna take those out, cut those up, and then show you what to do next. Let's go ahead and check our oil to see if it's hot by adding a couple mustard seeds, and they are moving around in there. That means that our oil is hot. So I'm gonna go ahead and put 2 teaspoons of mustard seeds. I like a lot of mustard seeds on this. Tastes delicious. And we're not going to add any extra spices because this was seasoned perfectly. So once the mustard seeds stop popping, I'm just going to add a pinch of the hing or asafoetida and then add our muthias. So we're gonna add this as soon as the mustard seeds stop popping. And when you're doing this step, it's important to have a big enough skillet so that the muthia can be in one layer. That way you'll get that nice crispy bottom on the muthia. So mustard seeds are almost done. I'm just gonna do a little pinch. And then go ahead and add of these. And like I said, this is another spot if something is missing in the seasoning when you originally made it, to add it. So if there was less salt or if I wanted more spicier, this is this time to add that. It's seasoned perfectly. I don't need any additional salt. I don't want to make it any more spicy than it is. Surprise there, right? Because usually I make it so spicy. So I'm not going to actually add anything else. So this extra step is definitely worth it. It tastes so good. So all I need to do is just let it sit in the hot oil for about a minute until it crispies, and it's all done. Seriously, take a little time and make this because it's so worth it, especially when you have abundance of zucchini in the summertime and you're kind of tired of making zucchini bread. This is so good. Start to finish, it took us about less than an hour. Seriously, I mean, the prep time was about 10 minutes. Only the shredding of the zucchini, everything was just mixing the flour and the spices. And then the rest of the time was just steaming. So, you know, you don't have to stand while it's steaming. So the half hour that it took when we did the 2 batches was just steaming. So prep time again is so less, and this step takes about 2 minutes. So definitely make this. This with a cup of chai is so delicious. It's an unbelievable snack, breakfast, lunch. It's healthy because it has so much zucchini in it. And kids love it because it's really tasty. If you don't want chai, you can also eat this with yogurt. It's also delicious with yogurt, or just plain as is. All right, so they're coming along nicely. I'm gonna crisp them for about another minute, and then we're done. And this is what I'm talking about when I say I want them to be a little crispy on the bottom. So they're nice, everything is incorporated. Let's go ahead and plate this. And then I've been waiting all morning to eat this with a cup of chai. So let's go ahead and enjoy our delicious, well, I'm having it as a mid-morning snack. And here it is, our steaming bowl of muthia with a hot cup of chai. It's so delicious and really worth making.